The alien warship hung over the ruined human station like a dark moon. Its metal skin was covered in glowing blue lines that pulsed like veins. Inside, hundreds of alien soldiers waited for their commander's order. They had beaten many species before. They had broken planets, crushed armies, and erased whole cultures. Now they were ready to do the same to Earth. They believed humans would be easy prey. Commander Vorth stepped forward on his 4 armored legs. His tall, lean body shimmered under the bright white lights. He looked like a walking blade made of bone and metal. His eyes glowed with cold pride. Reports said that the humans on the station were already defeated. Only one human still resisted. One man who refused to surrender even after the rest had fallen. The alien soldiers whispered about this human. They had captured his name from the station's system, Captain Elias Ward. A simple soldier. Ordinary. Alone. Not dangerous. But Vorth wanted to see him break. He wanted to crush the human spirit himself. Many commanders in Vorth's empire did this. They believed the best way to win a war was to make the enemy kneel. To show everyone that resistance was useless. Vorth walked into the holding chamber. The doors slid open with a low hiss. In the center of the room stood a single human. Captain Ward was tall but heavily injured. His uniform was torn, burned, and covered in dust. One of his arms was wrapped with cloth where blood had dried. His face was tired, but his eyes were sharp. They watched every movement in the chamber without fear. Alien guards pushed Ward forward until he stood a few steps from Vorth. The commander tilted his sharp head and studied the human. Ward did not look broken. He looked angry. That made Vorth smile. "You fought well for a primitive species," Vorth said. His voice echoed in the chamber, deep and metallic. "But your station is lost. Your people will fall next. Kneel, human, and I may let some of your kind live." Ward stood still. He breathed slowly. His chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. The guards waited for his answer. Vorth expected resistance, but not much. Every species knelt once they realized the truth. Once they felt the power of the Empire. Most knelt to survive. Some knelt because they lost hope. A few knelt because they understood they had no choice. But the human did not kneel. Instead, Ward looked straight into the commander's glowing eyes and spoke in a calm voice. "You should leave." The guards hissed in anger. One of them raised a weapon. Vorth held up a hand and stopped it. He wanted to hear the human's reason. He wanted to pull the truth from him before crushing his spirit. "You are surrounded," Vorth said. "Your friends are dead. You stand before an army. Why do you refuse to kneel?" Ward took in a slow breath. "Because you're already too late." A low rumble shook the chamber. At first it sounded like distant thunder. Then it grew louder, deeper, until the walls trembled. The alien guards looked around, confused. Vorth frowned. No human fleet should be near. Their ships were scattered, destroyed, or running. This noise made no sense. Ward wiped blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand. "I warned you," he said. His voice was steady. Almost calm. "I told you to leave." The lights in the chamber flickered. A loud alarm echoed through the warship. Alien voices shouted in the halls. The floor vibrated as something massive hit the ship from outside. Another hit followed, then another, each one stronger. "What is this?" Vorth growled. Ward finally smiled. It was small, worn, tired. But it was real. "My people don't kneel," he said. "Not to you. Not to anyone." The entire warship shook violently. A huge explosion roared through the lower decks. The lights went red. Smoke filled the chamber vents. Vorth stumbled, then caught himself. Ward stood tall even though the floor trembled under his boots. Vorth turned to his guards. "Find out what is attacking us. Now." Before they moved, a booming voice filled the chamber. It came through the ship's speakers, loud enough to rattle metal. It was a human voice. Calm, firm, and cold. To the alien vessel above our station, the voice said. "This is Admiral Reeves of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have attacked our people. You have taken our soldiers captive. You have killed without warning. Stand down or be destroyed." Vorth froze. His soldiers stared at the speakers. None of them understood. No human fleet should be able to reach them. No human ship should be strong enough to shake their warship. But the noise outside continued to grow. The alien soldiers felt fear rising in their chests. Ward looked at Vorth again. "We don't kneel," he said quietly. "But they do." Vorth turned back to the human. "Who kneels?" Ward's smile widened, slow and dangerous. "The ones who attack Earth." The chamber door exploded inward as smoke and fire burst through. Human marines in heavy armor stormed inside. Their weapons glowed bright and deadly. The first Marine pointed his gun straight at Vorth. Ward whispered, "I told you to leave." The commander of the alien armada finally understood the truth. This human had not been beaten. He had been buying time. And now the humans had come, not to kneel, but to make the galaxy kneel to them. Smoke rolled across the ruined chamber floor as the human Marines pushed forward, their heavy boots striking the metal panels in quick, controlled steps. Their armor was dark and thick, shining under the red alarm lights. The alien guards tried to return fire, but the humans moved with trained precision, firing bright blasts that cut through the smoke like sharp light. In seconds, 3 guards fell. The others hesitated. They had never seen humans fight like this. Commander Vorth stepped back, shocked by the sudden turn of the battle. He was used to easy victories and terrified enemies. Not this. Not soldiers who marched into the heart of his warship with no fear. Not a man like Ward, who stood tall despite his wounds. Captain Ward pointed toward the nearest Marine. "He's the target. Take him alive," Ward said, nodding toward Vorth. The Marine leader, a broad man in reinforced armor, answered with a single word. "Copy." The alien guards shouted in panic. They fired wildly, but the Marines moved with cold skill. They advanced, using their shields to block enemy shots. Every blast of human fire forced the aliens back. The room filled with sparks and smoke again as metal shattered. Vorth tried to retreat toward the exit behind him, but a Marine fired a warning shot that struck the wall inches from his head. Another Marine slammed an energy shield into the floor in front of Vorth, blocking his escape. He realized he was trapped. Ward walked toward him with slow, steady steps. "You wanted us to kneel," Ward said. "And yet here you are." Vorth growled. "How did your fleet arrive? Your people have no ships strong enough to attack us." "You don't know humans," Ward said. "You invade us thinking we're weak. But humans get stronger when pushed. We learn fast. Faster than you expect. And we don't stop." Another explosion shook the warship, this one closer, so close that lights burst and the chamber floor jolted upward. Marines held their stance. Aliens stumbled and fell. The sound of tearing metal screamed through the ship. The voice of Admiral Reeves returned on the speakers. "All units, secure your positions. Boarding teams, proceed. The enemy fleet has broken formation. They are retreating." Vorth's eyes widened. "Retreating? Impossible. My ships do not retreat." "They do today," Ward said. One of the Marines stepped up and pressed a heavy restraining device against Vorth's arms. The metal wrapped around him instantly, locking tight. He struggled, but it was useless. The device pulsed with blue light that drained his strength. He fell to his knees. The sound of falling metal armor echoed through the chamber. Vorth stared forward, humiliated. He had forced many species to kneel before him. Now he knelt before a wounded human and a squad of soldiers who refused to break. Ward rested a hand on Vorth's shoulder. "Remember this moment. You made a mistake when you came here. A big one." Vorth spat out the words. "We will come again. You cannot stop the Empire." Ward leaned close. "We already have." The Marines pulled Vorth to his feet and pushed him toward the hallway where more human soldiers waited. They moved quickly, securing the route as explosions echoed deeper in the ship. Ward followed, limping but steady. His injuries slowed him, but adrenaline kept him upright. As they moved through the corridors, they saw the results of the human attack. Alien bodies lay on the floor. Panels sparked with electricity. Marines moved in tight formation, covering every corner and door. The human fleet must have hit the warship with a precision strike, then launched boarding ships to take it from the inside. Not just for rescue, humans were taking the ship itself. Ward passed a pair of Marines who saluted him. "Good to have you back, Captain," one said. "Thanks for showing up," Ward replied, breathing hard. "Next time, try to be early." The Marine chuckled. "We like to make an entrance." The hallway shook again. A deep alarm tone echoed through the ship. A Marine checked his visor screen. "Sir, engineering reports the main reactor is unstable. The enemy tried to overload it." Ward's eyes widened. "They'd destroy their own ship just to kill us?" "They're losing, sir," the Marine said. "Desperate enemies make desperate choices." Ward clenched his jaw. "Then we make sure this ship doesn't blow." The Marines picked up their pace. Vorth struggled against his restraints. "You cannot save this vessel," he growled. "It will die, and you will die with it." Ward turned and stared directly into the alien commander's glowing eyes. "If we wanted to die, we would have surrendered." They reached a junction where human engineers were already working on damaged cables and panels. Sparks flew as they tried to stabilize power. One engineer shouted, "Captain! Reactor countdown in 5 minutes." Ward looked around quickly. What's the plan? We need access to the core control. The engineer said. But we need someone who knows the ship's systems. Ward looked at Vorth. The alien commander looked away. Ward stepped close, voice quiet but sharp. You want to live? Help us stop the meltdown. Vorth hesitated. His pride fought against survival. His hatred battled against fear. Then the floor shook again with a violent tremor. Ward stepped closer. Choose. Vorth finally nodded. The Marines shoved him forward toward the reactor access corridor. Time was running out. The most dangerous part of the mission had just begun. Humans had come to save their own. Now they had to save everyone, or die with their enemy. The hallway leading to the reactor core was long, narrow, and shaking from the stress building inside the alien warship. Metal plates on the walls bulged and groaned. Pipes hissed hot steam. Red warning lights flashed in sharp pulses. Every few seconds, the whole corridor trembled like the ship was taking its last breaths. Marines moved in a tight line, weapons raised, clearing every corner. Captain Ward stayed close behind them, pushing himself forward despite the pain in his leg. Vorth walked between two armored Marines, his hands locked behind him in the restraining device. Every time the ship shook, he stumbled, and the Marine shoved him upright again. You built this ship, Ward said. You know the way. Which path gets us to the core fastest? Vorth growled but answered. Left junction, then straight. But there will be guards. They will die to stop you. Ward nodded. Then we'll move fast. The group reached the junction. The door slid open, and a storm of plasma fire poured toward them. Alien soldiers were waiting in defensive lines, firing non-stop. The first blasts crashed against the Marine shields, sending sparks flying in every direction. Cover! The Marine leader shouted. The humans took positions behind fallen metal plates and support beams. Plasma fire slammed into their shields again and again. The smoke was thick. The lights flickered. The core countdown echoed over the ship's speakers. 4 minutes left. Vorth looked strangely calm. You cannot break through that defense before the reactor fails. Ward stared at him. We don't need long. He signaled to the Marine leader. The Marine nodded, switched his rifle to the side, and pulled out a tube-shaped launcher. He pressed a button. The weapon hummed. Ward shouted, Fire! The Marine launched a flash round. The projectile exploded in the air above the alien line, filling the hallway with a blinding white burst. The alien soldiers screamed as their vision overloaded. Some dropped their weapons. Some covered their faces, confused. Go! Push! The leader yelled. The Marines surged forward with fierce speed. They fired controlled bursts, hitting their targets before the aliens could recover. Ward limped behind them, staying close, breathing hard. The hallway shook again as another explosion rocked the ship. They reached the alien barricade and stepped over fallen guards. The Marines checked the next corridor. Clear. Ward exhaled. Move. Time's almost gone. They pushed forward again. The air grew hotter, the floor trembled with every step. Sparks fell from the ceiling like glowing rain. Vorth stared ahead, tense. The core is unstable. Once it ruptures, even your human fleet will feel the blast. Ward glared at him. Then hurry. They reached a massive doorway marked with glowing alien symbols. The metal door was sealed tight. That's it, Vorth said. Core control is behind that door. Then open it, Ward said. I cannot, Vorth replied. It is bound to command-level biometrics. The device on my arms blocks access. Ward hesitated only a moment. Then he looked at the Marine behind Vorth. Release one arm. Only one. If he tries anything, drop him. The Marine pressed a code into the restraint. One of Vorth's arms unlocked, though the other stayed tightly bound. The alien rubbed his freed wrist, then stepped to the panel beside the door. He placed his hand on it. Blue light scanned his palm. The door slid open. A wave of heat blasted out. The room beyond glowed red and orange. Sparks shot from panels. Thick cables whipped like angry snakes. The main reactor pulsed at the center, a huge sphere of energy surrounded by metal rings that were bending from the pressure. Human engineers inside the room were shouting into their comms. Core is minutes from collapse. We need to stabilize the field. One engineer saw Ward. Captain. We need access to the control conduits, but the system is locked with alien language and security. Ward looked at Vorth. Translate. Show them what to do. Vorth hesitated. His pride still battled against reality. Helping humans fix his own ship was humiliation beyond anything he had imagined. But the reactor pulsed again, so strong that metal cracked across the room. If it blew, none of them would survive. Not the humans. Not him. He stepped toward the control panel. I will not do it for you, he said quietly. I do it to live. Ward didn't care, just do it. Vorth began to speak quickly, pointing at symbols, giving commands. The engineers typed and adjusted switches. Marines stood guard, watching every movement Vorth made. The core pulsed again, faster now. The lights dimmed. The ship groaned. Field stabilizer is overheating. An engineer yelled. Vorth barked a command. The engineer hit a control and rerouted power. Blue energy raced through the pipes. The sphere brightened, then dimmed slightly. Status? Ward demanded. Still unstable. An engineer said. 1 minute remaining. Sweat ran down Ward's face. His heart pounded. The heat was almost unbearable. The air smelled like burning metal. Vorth stepped closer to the panel, using both hands even though one was still locked behind him. He worked fast, faster than Ward expected. His long fingers danced over controls, activating systems the engineers couldn't even read. The core pulsed once more, then 2 metal rings snapped inward with a loud crack. We're losing it. An engineer shouted. It will blow. Vorth shouted something in his own language and slammed his hand onto a dark panel. A deep hum filled the room. The sphere of energy flickered, then froze. All movement stopped. Silence filled the chamber. Even the alarms paused, as if confused. Then the stabilizer light slowly shifted from red to yellow. Then to blue. The engineers gasped. It's stable, one whispered. It's stable, another shouted. Ward let out a long breath. His knees threatened to give out, but he forced himself to stay upright. Vorth lowered his head. His voice was quiet. The ship lives. Ward stepped toward him. So do we. But as the tension faded, another sound echoed from the hallway outside, the unmistakable clatter of armored feet. A lot of them. The Marines raised their weapons. Sir, we've got incoming. Large alien force. Ward stared at Vorth, breath still heavy. This isn't over, he said. Vorth looked back at him with dark, unreadable eyes. No, he said. It has only begun. The pounding footsteps from the hallway grew louder, shaking the metal floor under everyone's boots. The Marines formed a tight defensive line at the entrance to the reactor room, weapons raised, eyes locked forward. Their armor hummed with power as shields activated and glowed faint blue. Engineers took cover behind consoles. Ward moved to the front, ignoring the pain in his leg. Vorth stood guarded by 2 Marines, one arm still bound, his expression unreadable. The sound grew stronger, more soldiers than before. The alien reinforcements were coming fast, maybe an entire platoon. Ward felt sweat on his palms, but he held his rifle steady. Positions. The Marine leader shouted. They breached this door, we hold them. Vorth spoke quietly but clearly. Your human weapons will not hold them for long. They know the core is stable again. They will try to retake it. They will not stop. Ward glanced back at him. Then help us stop them. Vorth stared at the hallway. I saved your ship. I helped you stop the meltdown. Do not ask for more. Ward stepped closer to him. You didn't do it for us. You did it because you didn't want to die. Vorth bared his sharp teeth. Exactly. Then you should help, because if they take this room back, they'll kill you too. They'll think you betrayed the Empire. For a moment, Vorth said nothing. His glowing eyes shifted toward the sealed doorway. The pounding echoed again, closer now. The aliens were almost there. I will not fight for you, Vorth said at last. But I will guide you. Ward nodded. That's enough. A deafening blast shook the room as the door to the hallway exploded inward. The shockwave knocked tools and loose metal across the floor. Smoke poured into the chamber. Silhouettes appeared through the haze, tall, armored alien soldiers with glowing rifles raised. Contact! A Marine shouted. Light filled the room as both sides opened fire. The humans' blue energy beams clashed with the aliens' bright green plasma. Sparks burst from walls and consoles. The engineers ducked behind barriers. Vorth shielded his face, hissing as shots whizzed past. The Marines pushed forward to block the narrow entrance. They fired in controlled bursts, hitting alien after alien, but the enemy kept coming. Their armor was thick. Their shots were strong. The Marine shields flickered under the constant barrage. Their push is too heavy. The Marine leader shouted. We need a new angle. Ward fired toward the hallway, then ducked behind cover. He looked at Vorth. Is there another way into this room? Vorth pointed quickly at a circular vent on the left wall. A maintenance shaft leads to an upper walkway above the hall. A soldier could use it to flank the attackers. The Marine leader heard it. Good enough. He pointed to 2 soldiers. You two, up the shaft and hit them from above. The Marines moved fast, removing the grate and climbing inside. Ward kept firing, pushing back the aliens inch by inch. The sound of battle roared in his ears, but he stayed focused, breathing through the pain. A second wave of aliens rushed in, firing without stopping. Their body armor glowed as they advanced through the smoke. The Marine shields weakened more. They're pushing harder. A Marine yelled. Ward reloaded. Hold the line. Just then, the 2 Marines who climbed the shaft appeared above the hallway, emerging onto a narrow upper ledge. They aimed down at the alien forces and opened fire. Alien soldiers shouted in confusion as blasts hit them from above. Their formation broke. Some turned their guns upward. Others tried to retreat, but the Marines below took advantage, firing at the exposed attackers. The tide shifted fast. Within seconds, the hallway filled with fallen alien soldiers. The survivors retreated, dragging wounded comrades, shouting commands in panic. They're falling back. The Marine on the ledge shouted. The Marine leader stepped forward. Push them out. A final volley of human fire sent the last aliens running. Silence followed, broken only by the crackling of damaged wires and the distant echo of retreating footsteps. Ward sighed deeply. The adrenaline slowly faded, and the pain in his leg returned with sharp force. He leaned on a railing, breathing hard. The Marine leader checked his visor. No more hostiles in the near area. But they'll regroup. They always do. Ward nodded. We won't stay long. What's our status on evacuation? A voice crackled through a Marine's headset. Reinforcement squads arriving. Extraction ships approaching your location. Stand by. Ward felt a wave of relief. The hardest part might be over, but he knew something was still wrong. Vorth hadn't spoken in several minutes. Ward turned to him. The alien commander stared at the fallen soldiers in the hallway, his eyes wide. They ran, he said softly. My soldiers never run. They fight until death. They do not retreat. Ward approached slowly. They've never fought humans like this before. Vorth's eyes narrowed. Your people. They fight beyond logic. Beyond fear. You break rules of war. You adapt too quickly. Ward shrugged. We fight to survive. Vorth shook his head. No. You fight to win. Before Ward could respond, the ship trembled again, but not from the reactor. This rumble came from outside. A Marine checked his visor. Sir, we've got movement near the hull. A large enemy transport is approaching fast. Ward's breath froze. Are they trying to board us again? No, the Marine said. It's bigger. Much bigger. A deep, echoing horn sounded from beyond the bulkheads, a sound no one on the ship had heard before. Vorth's face went pale. That sound, he whispered. It is the call of the High Legion. Ward frowned. What's the High Legion? Vorth swallowed hard. They are the Empire's elite. The strongest. The ones sent only when an Empire commander fails. Ward stared him down. Then you'd better start talking fast. The low, echoing horn vibrated through every metal plate of the alien warship. It was deeper than thunder, longer than any alarm humans used. It seemed to shake inside the chest, not just the ears. Even the Marines paused for a moment, uneasy. Ward had never heard anything like it. But Vorth had. He stood frozen, staring toward the hull as if he could see through the walls. His skin plates trembled. His glowing eyes dimmed. Ward stepped closer. High Legion. Tell me what that means. Vorth didn't answer at first. His mind was racing, and the fear on his face was clear. It was the first time Ward had seen the alien commander look afraid. Finally, Vorth spoke quietly. The High Legion is not a normal force. They are not soldiers. They are executioners. They come only when the Empire believes victory must be absolute. Ward narrowed his eyes. Executioners for who? For everyone, Vorth said. For enemies. For failed commanders. Even for entire ships. Ward felt cold in his stomach. So they're coming for you. And for you, Vorth added, voice tense. If the High Legion boards this ship, they will not take prisoners. The Marines exchanged uneasy glances. One checked his visor. Sir, the enemy transport is now docking with the upper hull. They're forcing the clamps. We can't shake them off. Ward took a slow breath. How many soldiers in a High Legion unit? Vorth shook his head. They do not come in units. They come in squads of 10. Ward raised an eyebrow. 10? That's all? Vorth looked at him sharply. 10 High Legion warriors can destroy a city. That answered the question. The Marines straightened, gripping their weapons with new tension. No one spoke for several seconds. The distant thump of docking clamps locking onto the hull echoed through the ship like a final warning. Ward broke the silence. What do we know about their weapons? Their armor? Stronger than yours, Vorth said. Stronger than ours. Their armor adapts to attacks. Their weapons are designed to kill anything. Even friendly forces. They do not care who falls as long as the objective is met. Ward exhaled slowly. And the objective is us. Correct, Vorth said. The Marine leader tapped his comm. Command, we need reinforcements immediately. High-level enemy force incoming. The reply came back thick with static. Understood. But extraction ships can't get close while that transport is latched to you. You need to hold until we break it free. Ward looked around the room, the cracked walls, the broken consoles, the tired engineers, the Marines catching their breath behind damaged shields. They had already survived too much. And now the strongest enemy force was about to step aboard. Move positions, Ward ordered. We create a choke point. They come through only one way. The Marines began rearranging crates, fallen panels, anything that could block or funnel the enemy into a narrow entrance. Engineers retreated to the back of the room. Vorth stayed between two Marines, still under guard. The floor trembled again, then again, as something heavy walked across the upper hall. Ward glanced up. Are they that heavy? Yes, Vorth said. Their armor weighs hundreds of kilos. But it moves like nothing at all. A loud metallic drilling sound rang through the ceiling, deep and sharp. Sparks rained down as a circle of red-hot metal began glowing overhead. They're cutting through, a Marine warned. Ward raised his rifle. Hold positions. The glowing circle grew wider, chunks of hot metal dropped to the floor. The Marines flinched back from the sparks. Smoke poured through the opening. Then a massive armored boot smashed down through the hole. It landed with a heavy crash, cracking the floor. The body followed. The first High Legion warrior dropped through the hole, landing in a crouch. His armor was thick, dark, almost black, covered in sharp ridges and glowing red marks. His helmet had no eyes, only a single red slit across the front. Another crash. A second warrior dropped down. Then a third. Ward swallowed. Positions. The Marines opened fire, beams slamming into the first warrior's armor. The shots sparked brightly, but the warrior didn't even flinch. He stood tall, raising a large weapon shaped like a hooked blade fused with a rifle. Vorth whispered, "Your weapons are too weak." Ward kept firing. "They'll slow them down." The first warrior stepped forward through the fire, unstoppable. He swung his weapon in a wide arc. A shockwave burst out, sending two Marines flying backward. The second warrior charged straight toward the barricades. He grabbed a heavy metal crate and threw it aside like paper. Ward ducked as it slammed into the wall, bending steel. The third warrior raised his weapon and fired. A red beam sliced through the air, cutting a support beam in half as if it were nothing. The Marines fired again, switching to concentrated shots. Their rifles glowed from the strain. A few hits finally forced the first warrior to step back. Ward yelled, "Focus fire on one target." The Marines obeyed, shifting all fire toward the leading warrior. His armor glowed brighter under the hits, trying to adapt faster than the beams could change frequency. For a moment, just a moment, the warrior halted. Ward saw the opening. He grabbed a spare explosive charge from a fallen Marine's belt, armed it, and threw it under the warrior's feet. "Down," he shouted. The explosion erupted with a deafening blast. The warrior crashed backward through the smoke, landing hard on the floor. Ward raised his rifle again. "Hit him before he recovers." The Marines fired non-stop. The warrior struggled to stand, but his armor was cracked now, flickering with broken red lines. One final shot from the Marine leader hit the crack dead center. The warrior fell still. There was a moment of silence. Vorth stared in disbelief. "You killed one." Ward didn't take his eyes off the other two warriors. "They bleed like anything else." The second warrior roared, a deep, mechanical sound that shook the air, and charged forward with terrifying speed. Ward steadied his weapon. The real fight had just begun. The second High Legion warrior charged like a living tank, each step shaking the floor. His armor glowed a brighter red now, reacting to the death of the first warrior. Ward felt the air push against him as the massive alien sprinted straight toward the barricade. "Brace," Ward shouted. The Marines dug in, raising their shields. A heartbeat later, the warrior slammed into the barricade with the force of a speeding vehicle. Metal crates flew apart. A Marine was knocked off his feet and thrown into a wall. His shield flickered, barely staying active. The warrior swung his blade weapon upward, almost cutting a Marine in half. The Marine rolled aside just in time. Sparks shot from the floor as the blade carved a glowing line through the metal. Hit him! Hit him! Ward yelled. 3 Marines fired at the warrior's back. The shots crackled against the armor. One shot made a small dent. The warrior growled, not in pain, but in irritation, and turned his head toward them. Ward fired too, aiming at the joints in the warrior's armor. The shot slowed the creature for a second, but not enough. It stepped forward again, raising its weapon. Then something unexpected happened. A burst of green plasma hit the warrior from the side. Everyone, Marines and humans alike, turned. Vorth stood behind a fallen Marine's shield, his one free arm holding the rifle he must have grabbed from the floor during the chaos. His glowing eyes were tight with focus. He fired again. A second green bolt hit the warrior's side, burning the armor. The warrior roared and turned toward Vorth. Ward shouted, "Keep firing." The Marines followed Vorth's lead, firing everything they had. The warrior struggled to strike back, blocked by the shifting pressure of shots coming from all directions. His armor adapted again, strange lines moving across the plates, but it was too slow this time. Vorth adjusted his aim and fired directly at a deep joint under the warrior's arm. The shot pierced through. The warrior fell to one knee. The Marine leader didn't hesitate. He charged forward with a heavy breaching hammer and slammed it into the weak point. A crack exploded across the armor. The warrior collapsed, the red glow in his armor slowly fading. Silence hung in the air for half a breath. Then Ward turned toward Vorth. Everyone else did too. Vorth lowered the rifle, breathing hard. "Do not look at me like that," he snapped. "If he killed you, he would kill me next." Ward didn't smile, but there was something like respect in his eyes. Fair enough. But there was no time to rest. The third warrior, the last one in the room, had not moved during the fight. He had simply watched, standing tall, analyzing everything in silence. Now he stepped forward. And something about him was different. His armor was darker. Thicker. The red slit across his helmet glowed brighter than the others. And unlike the first two, he carried no weapon in his hands. He didn't need one. The Marines tightened their grips on their rifles. Ward's stomach twisted. This one wasn't like the others. He looked stronger. Smarter. More dangerous. Vorth spoke quietly. That is a Prime Legionnaire." Ward frowned. "Meaning what?" "He commands the others. He is bred for killing anything that breathes." Ward steadied his rifle. "Great." The Prime Legionnaire slammed his foot on the floor. A wave of pressure blasted outward. The Marine staggered. Engineers fell to the ground. Ward hit a railing hard, pain shooting through his arm. Before the Marines could recover, the Prime moved. He crossed the room in less than a second. He ripped a rifle out of a Marine's hands and crushed it in his grip. He grabbed the Marine by the chestplate and threw him like a stone. The Marine hit the far wall and collapsed, armor cracked. The Marines fired, but the Prime spun, dodging shots with speed impossible for something so heavy. A single backhand from him sent another Marine sliding across the floor like a broken toy. Ward fired again and again, but the Prime barely reacted. The shots hit his armor and vanished like sparks against stone. "Spread out," Ward shouted. "Don't let him take you one by one." The Marine scattered. The Prime lunged at another soldier, but the Marine rolled away. A blast from behind made the Prime pause for a moment, confused. Ward saw where the blast came from. Vorth again. The alien commander fired without hesitation, aiming for the back of the Prime's helmet. The shot made the Prime turn, but that tiny distraction gave Ward the moment he needed. He grabbed a fallen Marine's shock baton and charged forward, slamming it into the Prime's leg joint. Electricity arced through the armor, making the Prime jolt. Not much, but enough. The Marine leader threw a stun charge at the Prime's feet. It exploded with a sharp crack, sending a bright burst upward. The Prime stumbled. Only slightly. But it was enough for the Marines to pour every shot they had into one point, the thin glowing slit on the helmet. The armor flickered. Ward shouted, "Again." They fired. The slit dimmed. One more volley. The slit shattered. The Prime staggered, then fell forward like a falling statue, hitting the floor with a heavy crash that echoed through the entire room. Ward leaned on his rifle, breathing hard. The Marine stood in silence, shocked and exhausted. Engineers slowly rose from the ground. Vorth lowered the rifle once more. Ward looked at the fallen Prime Legionnaire. 3 down. But before anyone could relax, the ship groaned. The ceiling lights flickered. Vorth's eyes widened. "That transport that brought them," he whispered. "It is not just carrying warriors. Ward looked up sharply. What else? Vorth swallowed hard. It carries a purifier bomb. If they cannot retake this ship, they will destroy it. Ward stared in disbelief. A bomb big enough to blow the whole vessel? And everything nearby, Vorth said quietly. Including your fleet. Ward turned toward the Marines. We're out of time. The room fell completely silent as Vorth's words settled over everyone. Even the Marines, trained for the worst, froze for a moment. A purifier bomb was not something any of them had ever faced. Ward had heard of them only in rumor, weapons designed to erase everything within kilometers, leaving nothing but silence and drifting dust behind. Ward stepped forward. Where is the bomb? Vorth pointed upward. Still inside the enemy transport dock to your ship. The High Legion delivered it. If they fail to kill us, their orders will force the transport to detonate. How long do we have? Ward asked. Minutes, Vorth said. Maybe less. Ward turned immediately to the Marines. Command, do you read? He shouted into his comm. Static. No reply. Another Marine tried his channel. This is Strike Team 7, requesting immediate extraction. High Legion transport is preparing detonation. Only static returned. The Marine leader shook his head. Our signals are jammed. Probably the transport. Vorth nodded. They always jam broadcasts to trap survivors. Ward clenched his jaw. So we can't call for help. No, Vorth said. You must act. Ward looked around the room quickly. The Marines were breathing hard, tired, but still strong. Engineers worked to stabilize broken consoles. Smoke drifted through the air. The floor trembled from the transport attached to the hull above. Ward looked up. Then our only option is to get to that bomb and disarm it. Vorth made a low sound. Humans cannot disarm a purifier bomb. Only a trained Imperial engineer can. Ward stared at him. Then you'll do it. Vorth froze. You think I will defuse a weapon that was meant to punish failure? They will execute me either way. Ward stepped closer. If you don't help, we all die. You included. Vorth looked away but said nothing. Ward continued, voice calm but firm. If you want to live, and if you want even a chance to return to your people, you disarm that bomb. For a long moment, Vorth stood still. The room waited. Even the air seemed to pause. Finally, Vorth exhaled. Take me there. Ward nodded and turned to the Marines. Form up. We're going to the docking bay. The group moved quickly through the halls, passing sparks, smoke, and the bodies of fallen soldiers. The ship's alarm screamed louder the closer they got to the upper decks. Every step seemed to make the ship shake a little more, like it knew what was coming. When they reached the upper corridor, a massive airlock door blocked the way. The metal was dented inward from the force of docking clamps. The Marines scanned it. Behind this door, the Marine leader said. Transport should be on the other side. Ward nodded. Open it. The Marines worked quickly. Sparks flew as they cut through damaged controls. Finally, with a heavy grinding sound, the door slid open. Smoke drifted into the hallway. The alien transport sat attached to the hull like a huge, armored insect. Its ramp was open. Dark red lights pulsed from inside. Ward felt the heat of the purifier bomb before he even saw it. Vorth stepped forward slowly, almost unwillingly. The bomb is inside, he said. At the center. The Marines raised their weapons and led the way. They moved carefully into the transport. The air smelled like hot metal and chemicals. Every few seconds, the red lights pulsed brighter. When they turned the corner, they saw it. The purifier bomb was taller than Ward and shaped like a giant metallic spine, glowing with deep crimson energy. Strange symbols pulsed across its surface. The heat coming off it made the air ripple. A steady tone beat from the bomb, slow at first, then faster. Ward looked to Vorth. You can stop it? Vorth stepped close, his hand shaking. I believe so. I must override the control nodes. But if I make one mistake, it will detonate instantly. Ward placed a hand on his shoulder. Then don't make a mistake. Vorth glared, but the word steadied him. He stepped up to the bomb and began working. His fingers moved quickly across alien markings and glowing nodes. Each time he touched one, the energy pattern changed. The bomb hummed louder. Marines watched the entrance, ready for anything. Ward stayed close, watching Vorth's movements. The tone quickened again. Vorth. Ward warned. I know, Vorth snapped. He pressed another symbol. Quiet. The tone grew louder, faster, too fast. One of the Marines shouted, it's speeding up. We need to evacuate. Ward shook his head. We won't make it. Let him work. Vorth's hands danced across the nodes, moving faster than before. He muttered in his own language, a series of harsh syllables. Sweat rolled down his face. The bomb screamed, a sharp, rising sound. That was it, the final stage. Ward grabbed Vorth's wrist. "Vorth," I said, "quiet." He slammed his palm onto the final node. The bomb emitted a deep, low pulse that shook the entire transport. Then, silence. The red lights faded. The heat dissolved. The tone stopped. Vorth collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. It is done. The bomb is dead. Ward stepped back as the Marines exhaled in relief. One laughed nervously. Another sat down against the wall, removing his helmet to wipe sweat away. Ward looked at Vorth. "You saved us." Vorth looked up slowly. "I saved myself. And you are simply harder to kill than expected." Ward almost smiled. "I'll take that." Before anyone could speak further, Ward's calm crackled. "Captain Ward? Do you read? This is Admiral Reeves. We've broken the transport's jam. Is your team alive?" Ward tapped his comm. "We're alive, Admiral. The High Legion is down. The purifier bomb has been disabled." There was a long, stunned pause. Then Reeves said, "Good work, Captain. Prepare for extraction. We're bringing you home." The Marines cheered quietly. Engineer smiled in relief. Ward turned to Vorth. "You're coming with us," Ward said. Vorth stood slowly. "As your prisoner?" Ward shook his head. "As someone who just saved thousands of human lives. We'll figure out the rest later." For the first time, Vorth looked unsure. Ward turned to his Marines. "Let's go." They stepped out of the transport into the smoke-filled hallway. The human extraction ships were already docking. Lights flashed. Engines hummed. Rescue teams rushed forward. As Ward limped toward the docking ships, he looked back once more at the destroyed warship, the fallen legionnaires, and Vorth walking with the Marines. The alien empire had come to make humans kneel. But in the end, it was the humans who stood tall. And the galaxy had just learned a truth it would never forget. Humans kneel to no one.